Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Tactical Foul. Today we're continuing our Zoom series with another contributor to our TCTV. He's one of the most recognizable coaches in the Tri-County area. Please welcome Steve Walker.
What's up?
How's it going today, man?
Good, you?
Good. So before we fully get started, what I want you to do is just kind of...
Before we start, I love the shirt, by the way.
That's right. I wore it for you. Come on. Got to represent.
Yeah,
Way too many haters in this club.
For sure. Good start. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. So before we fully get started, what I want you to do is just tell everybody what you're doing now, the roles you have, the teams you coach.
So I'm currently with the high school boys side with Tri-County. I have the 04 boys red team. It was a team that I've had previously before, so I know the majority of the boys. A really good group. They're a really good group of lads. And I've watched most of them go from 10, 11 years old. So kind of seen through the development. And obviously they've had the high school season this year. And then I had the 01 boys, which was a new team for us this year, which unfortunately wasn't able to kind of actually get started with them. I've had a few of the boys kind of come to some of the practices. So we looked like we had a solid core and looked like we had some good things that we could have got done. But obviously with everything that happened, it wasn't to be, unfortunately. But it looks like, looking at the team, hopefully half of them will be back next year.
Awesome.
To kind of form another team for the 02s. I've been talking with most of them. So hopefully we can get it next year and see what we can try and do. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with the club. I also am the assistant coach over at Northwood with Stevie. Job I went back to this past fall. So I'd previously worked there for a few years before I kind of bounced back to club again, and it was good. Really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. Like obviously a little bit different from the last time I was there. A lot of different factors that go into obviously what I'm doing as far as my role is concerned. But yeah, really enjoying it. So
awesome, man. Awesome. So what I want to do is I want to talk about your history a little bit, where you grew up, and then your early playing days. So just kind of tell us where you're from and different things like that.
Okay, so I'm originally from Manchester in the northwest. Obviously, that's why I love the shirt you're wearing. I'm actually from the northwest part of Manchester as well. It's a small park called Ratcliffe. It's not too far. The local club is Bury, actually, who was big in the news this last year because they went under, so they liquidised everything, which is funny. So not for their part, but so I grew up there. Went to just a played local club really for the longest. Started out at 5. I just played for the local club, Ratcliffe Borough, which is not too far from my house. And it was just literally my friends that I went to school with. And then when I moved on from there, that was like 11 or 12, was really my kind of first taste of actual proper coaching. Like up until that point, it was literally a dad. Like it was actually my friend, the guy who lived around the corner from me. His dad was the coach. Some of the dads used to come and kind of help out. But our training sessions literally would consist of us. It was most of the time it was inside. It was inside like a gym, a school, and we literally just go there and we just play. Be like throw the pennies out, split yourself up in 2 teams, and you just play. There was no actual to do this. A lot of it was obviously from watching it.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to go. I wasn't able to have a season ticket at a younger age, but I got to quite a few games. My first season ticket actually was at Bury when I was 10. Well, no, I was a little bit older than that. I think I was like 11 or 12 when I first started kind of getting into it a little bit more seriously. And my first season ticket at Bury, and that was kind of my first like experience of live soccer, like right there. And one of the things I used to remember, funny, at the end of the game, all the kids used to run onto the field and like shake hands with the players and stuff like that. And just like the interactions that you would have from there, it kind of then started following teams. And I always supported United. I would go to the odd game. I'd go to like Wembley, Wembley finals. Like my first game was the 83 FA Cup, Norman Whiteside scored the winner against Everton. So, and I'd go to like one-off games, but never actual full United games. So that was kind of my first like interaction of kind of getting into football or soccer as like a full-time thing that I used to kind of enjoy. So And then at 11, 12, once I started into high school, you go to high school a little bit younger in England, you start like 11. And then you go 5 years up through to like 16. So then that's when I kind of started getting my first taste of high school football. And then from there, it's actually each year has its team. So the first years have a team, second years have a team, third years, fourth years. And it's actually the fifth year team that actually plays against other schools and competes for the county cup, stuff like that. Oh. So you can have like younger players coming in and joining the fifth year team. I was one of only 2 players as second years that actually got to play with them. So even at that age, I was 12 playing with like 16-year-olds.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of my first like interaction. And I wasn't a big, those of you that know me, I'm 6'4", I'm a decent sized guy. I wasn't like that in high school. Like leaving high school at 16, I was 5'8". I was, I used to be a really fast, believe it or not, real fast winger because I'm left-footed. So I was the only left-footed player on the team. So I was always put out wide on the left. And so that's how my kind of graduation almost up to the fifth year team. So that was kind of into high school. And then high school, it's kind of weird. You kind of play all the way through. It's not like a set season. Because also at that time, back in when I was at high school, there wasn't very many sports. They introduced basketball my third year of high school. So up until then, it was soccer. And then if enough people wanted to, they'd put a cricket team on for like the last month and a half of school. So it wasn't really there wasn't that many sports to kind of choose from.
Right.
So that was kind of really what, but also at the same time, you could still play club as well. So I was still playing I moved to a different club. A long story why I left my club. It's a bit of a one day I'll probably tell you over a beer about what actually fully happened with it, but it's not a good story. So I moved on, but from there I kind of bounced around a little bit. And I think at that stage that probably, obviously looking at it now from a coaching standpoint, from 12 to 16, bouncing around at so many clubs, with different kind of coaching and what different people saw of you, it probably didn't help my development at all.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that was obviously the important years where you get picked up by clubs, back in England, and that's where you usually get signed as scholars, or you kind of start to get looked at as potential, first year, second year, potential professionals. So I kind of at that stage was bouncing around from club to club. I never really kind of got any traction with teams. So anytime somebody would come to scout, I wasn't playing a ton of minutes because I wasn't, obviously, I just joined a team, or like I joined a team. One of the teams I joined, I played the same position as the coach's son's best friend. So I was light years better than the kid. I'm not always going to say that, but it was just a lot of favoritism. So it kind of altered my perspective as far as wanting to be a professional soccer player. Like I always wanted to be, that's all I wanted to be, like all the way through. And it's funny because I'm the only one in my family that actually plays sport. My dad never played. Neither of my 2 sisters, I got 2 older sisters, neither one of them 2 played. So it was just me. So, and I think at that stage, it was like, if I'm not going to be a professional player, what do I need to do to kind of stay within the game?
For sure. So
at that point, it was kind of, once I'd done with high school and realized I wasn't going to go anywhere with it, it was like, all right, let's go into coaching. So I left high school in the January. I took my first coaching license.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was like 16-year-old kid in there with grown men, and women. There was, kind of standing up there and having to put on a coaching session was a little bit daunting. I never forget, it was a long weekend. It was a Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And it was the original coaching license through the FA. It was called the FA Prelim badge. And I had to do a coaching session. If I ever think, I could probably remember what the session was as well. But it was my first kind of interaction of coaching, and coming out of that first training session, it was like, I could probably do this. Do you know what I mean? Like it's I got a lot. I felt like I had a lot. Obviously, at 16, you feel like a ton of things. Do you know what I mean? Like I was regularly going to watch games. Wasn't playing at that point, I'd kind of jacked playing in. I wasn't playing at all. I mean, I'd play five-a-side games with friends and stuff like that, which is five-a-side's a whole other sport in England. It's an unreal sport. I wish it would take over here. I think it would pick up and just blow up massively. So I was playing that a little bit, and then bits of coaching. I took my coaching license and was like, all right, let's see what I can kind of do with that. So then I went and helped a little bit with my high school. This was around 94, 95. And then in 96, I actually came over to America for a summer and spent a summer in North Carolina with a company called Camp America I came over with. And that was kind of my first experience of America. I wasn't really doing much, I was just kind of doing bits of work at home. And I had some ability to go off for the summer, so I went and visited, because America was never a place that we'd been. We never visited before, so it was my great opportunity to go, yeah. So I spent the summer working in the Appalachian Mountains at a residential camp there, teaching kids how to play soccer. Not a single kid knew how to play soccer. It was brilliant. It was really funny. Like, some of the kids would show up to some of the training sessions, and like, you pass them the ball and they'd pick it up and throw it back to you, and it was like, no, not wrong sport.
For sure.
So there's a lot of changing from that, but it kind of gave me an intro into kind of action of American people. So it was good. I had a really good summer. So from there, I went home and I kind of played semi-professional for, I think, about a year and a half. I kind of got picked up by a team that I'd played with previously for a year. I played when I got back into college. So I played with them for a year, then went to the summer, then came back and played with them for another year. And then from there, that's when I kind of, back in, 98 was when I first moved out here full time.
So when, I want to just kind of back up a little bit. When you first came to America, what was your first, I mean, obviously you're working with little kids, that's different, but what was the biggest takeaway you had from being in America, the difference between America and obviously back home?
From the soccer side of it, or just in general of the country?
Probably both. In general, I would say, though.
I mean, it's probably no different than what people think England's like if they've never visited. You don't really truly know the country.
Yeah, for sure.
Until you actually go to the places. Like, there's people that I know that have been like, oh, I've been to America. It's like, oh, have you been? Oh, I've been to Florida. It's like, yeah, it's not America. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's nice, but it's not. You don't actually get to see the true feel of America. So, right. American people are very open. I mean, I can't say enough. I've spent more than half my life there now. So, I mean, family's American. My wife, my kids, or kid, should I say? It's a really nice country. I'm still in touch. I mean, just to give you an idea, I'm still in touch with people that I coached back in like 99, 2000.
Oh, wow.
Sure. And people that don't even live around here. Like, I'm still in touch with families in New Mexico, in Arizona, from all the different places that I've visited, families in Florida that I'm still in touch with. So there's a ton of different people that you obviously stay in touch with, and you see kind of how things going. The one other thing I always say about this country is you never really have to leave it. That was one of the things that was kind of strange to me when I'd first got here, and I'd meet people that don't own a passport. Like, I've had a passport since I was like 2 or 3. And that's like, right. Some of the Americans that you meet, it's like, yeah, I've never owned a passport. And it's like, you don't really have to go outside of America to do anything, ultimately. I mean, you can pretty much do anything you want inside America. So that's another thing. And I mean, obviously, you get a little bit more. I mean, I went home just recently in December, went back recruiting, and I hadn't been home in like, 7, 8, nearly 8 years.
Oh, wow.
A lot different to kind of see the changes and how things were different back home, and like how things had obviously changed. Like, the money's completely different now. Like, I took a thing of change home, and the woman, like, I emptied it out in the bank. I'd gone with one of my nephews, and I put all the change into the thing in the bank, and she's going through. She goes, "We don't even use these anymore." It's like, I was like, okay, I haven't been gone that long. You know what I mean? It's been 7 years. So yeah, that was funny just to see obviously the changes that have happened. So from the soccer side of it, I mean, obviously the country, when I first came over here, it was a bad word. Do you know what I mean? Like, soccer was just not done by anybody. It just Right. It wasn't shown on the TV. You know, there was no like interaction of like European soccer, or you know, there's been so many American leagues, you know, between the indoor league and the various outdoor leagues, and then MLS had just started when I first started coming out, so it's just starting to pick up some traction. But I mean, it was still. I mean, I remember that first season. We were connected with some of the MLS teams with the MLS camp, so we were connected with the Chicago Fire, and like they had the penalty shootout thing where the guy had the one-on-one. You know what? I think that would be unreal if to do something like that for the Premiership. Like they need to have like a skills competition. Imagine how sweet that would be. Like having forwards go one-on-one with the keepers, like the stuff that they would do. So I think that some of the ideas that they have, but it's very grandiose. You know what I mean? Like it's like trying to bring the spectacle to it. Yeah. But now what I think they've done is you've got that different age dynamic now. You know, you've got the parents that are involved in it grew up with it. For you know, sure. When I first kind of came here, a lot of the times the parent interaction I would have with it wasn't in my school. I didn't grow up with soccer, and that's a lot of the interactions. If you don't grow up with it, you don't really know. You know, but like there's a lot of the times now where parents are growing up with it, so kids are growing up with it. You know, like I'm sure it's going to be no different. I mean, my kid obviously is not a good example because he gets it 24/7 just because obviously of me. But I mean, he's going to be an example of he's been around it, so he'll know more about it.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just changing that little bit of a culture side of things and how it kind of interacts. And then obviously, you know, the way that the leagues have grown. You know, I thought that the interview you did with Phil last week was very good because it's interesting to see what soccer was, you know, 7, 8, 9 years ago in Detroit to kind of what is offered now. I mean, you know, it was that the leagues are totally different. You know, the availability of the coaching is totally different.
Absolutely.
The level of obviously the coaching is totally different, and it's improving all the time. You know, it's getting better, and I mean, you got to think I came over in the era where it was like, oh, you're English, you must know what you're talking about. And trust me, I've come across some of them where it's like, no, don't put me in that boat. Like, I actually do know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like, I've done the licensing courses to show that I know what I'm talking about. It's not just because of the way I talk. So I've come across quite a few of them in my time. So.
Oh, for sure. So kind of talking about Michigan now, and obviously you've been all over the country, but you get to Michigan, and obviously you take a job with Midland, but then you make your way to SVSU, and you're playing again, correct?
Yeah, so that was the guy I was actually living with, the current Wolves director, Paul Thomas. He wanted to go back to Saginaw Valley to get part of his teaching degree. I just met with the coach, and I'd been looking to get back into school to finish off the degree. I really enjoyed my time when I was at school, obviously getting a degree. And part of the reason why I initially wanted to come over here was obviously still play and you know, come out of it with no debt. So I met with the coach, and I played 02, 03, and 04 at SVSU. So good time, a lot different than what it is now. A lot different. I mean, just to set up, obviously the school is constantly growing anyway. I mean, it seems like there's always construction going on at that place. So, but a very good experience. A lot different to the team that I played on previously because the guys were a lot closer. There was me and Paul, and then one other English guy, and then we had a guy from Trinidad there, and then everything else was American.
Right.
So everybody was kind of super close. We kind of got along. But even the setup to the league, like we played in the GLIAC, but the GLIAC was totally different. Like there was no postseason. There was no it was kind of, and we played teams from all over. Like the GLIAC, there was teams from Pennsylvania. Like we played a couple of teams. Played a team out of District of Columbia in one of the years I was there. But we would play like different amounts of. My second season we played 12, and then my last season we played 17. So it wasn't like anything in consistency, kind of the way it is now. Like I'd love to have played in the way it is now because you're actually playing for something, you know, where they play for that tournament. You know, you're pushing for the NCAA tournament. So I think again a change in what's happened for the good for college soccer. And Saginaw Valley obviously it's become a very good program since I left, and obviously what's happened since then, and some of the coaching that's been through there has obviously changed that. And it's funny because one of the coaches that kind of led that was a kid I played with. So, and there's quite a few other coaches that are kind of the way, the team that I played on, there's quite a lot of actual coaches that have gone on and done very well, like Rick from Genesee. I played with Rick for a year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he was one of the guys I played with for a year. Cale Wasserman, who was, SVSU's coach, then he was at Michigan State, he's now at SIU, he was there. So there's a couple of good, players that I played with that have gone on to do very good coaching, very good coaching work. So
that's awesome. And that's a good transition because obviously from SVSU was when, you went full time as a soccer coach from there. Walk us through the early days, maybe some of the mistakes you made, and then, some of the good moments you had.
So I did a little bit of training, if you will, when I was still a player.
Yeah.
My first week of preseason at Saginaw Valley, I just went down to the fields at Mackay, and the old president at the time there had a couple of older girls teams. I told him who I was, I showed him my license, and he's like, "Well, run a session for me now then." He's like, "Run the last hour of this training session." So I ran a session for him, and he's like, "All right." He's like, "I'll hire you for the remainder of the season." So that's kind of how I got picked up. So I did a little bit of training here and there at Saginaw with some of their teams. But then when I left SVSU, I was going to come and help out, but in talking with, at the time, it was Drago, who was running kind of overseeing both programs. He was in charge of the women's program, and he kind of oversaw the men's program. And he just said it would be a good idea to kind of just go out and find a coaching job, like a job that's just mine that I could kind of get my teeth into.
Yeah.
So I took the Nouvelle boys job. I was there for 3 years. And a great place to work, really good. The community side of it, it's very much obviously it's not the biggest of schools, so right. Class size is very small, and it's obviously predominantly a football school. So some of the better athletes that obviously went to play the football side, but my team was a very good little team. The first year I went in, we lost in the district final. Second year we lost in the district semi-final, and my last year we lost in the district final again. But they had some very, very good players all the way through, and some players that went on and played in college as well. And then like some players now, it's funny because before this whole pandemic started, Christian was going to a basketball camp that was actually ran by a kid that played for me at Nouvelle. He's now the Nouvelle basketball coach. Yeah,
oh, that's awesome.
So now he's kind of like one of those full circle things, like a kid I coached is now coaching my kid. A different sport, but kind of still seeing it from there. So, but Nouvelle it was a really good experience for me because it kind of got me into that mode of practicing every day and running the training sessions every day and the game days and all those kinds of things. Whereas before, a lot of the stuff that I'd done training wise and club wise, it kind of been me helping out other people,
right?
Not my own team. So that was kind of helpful. And then the last season would have been the 2007 season. I took the girls' job at Heritage.
Oh, okay.
I was the girls' coach there. So it was just like I'd helped out before with the girls the year before at Nouvelle, and they'd made the state semi-final. And they were a ridiculously good team as well that year. They had some phenomenal players on that team. And then I took the girls' job at Heritage, was just like, okay, let's see the different dynamics. Because again, girls' soccer was a pretty new thing to me when I first came over here. Like soccer in England, soccer for girls in England was non-existent. It was completely non-existent when I first came over here. But so now it was like, all right, let's see what obviously the difference between the girls' side and the guys' side. So I had a good team. They were very senior laden. There was a ton of seniors that were on that team, and we had a decent season. I was only there for 1 year. They won the district. We went to regionals. First time they'd won a district in like 10 years. And it was good because it was some of the senior girls that maybe hadn't continued to play previously. So yeah, that was good. So it was good. We we did all right. We had a successful season, so that was kind of giving me my first interaction of that. And then from there, I kind of went and helped out for a couple of years at SVSU with Drago. And that was around the time where he hired me to work for Vardar North. That was up here, that was kind of working at Saginaw Township. So
I remember.
It was expanding, yeah, it was expanding out. And I had the first team I got, they were, when we started, they were U11. So they were the 95 girls. So I know you know quite a few of some of the girls on my team. And I'm still in touch with quite a few of them as well. It's,
for sure.
I mean, some of those girls obviously married and, having their own children now. But that was my first, and that's obviously, again, going back to your question before about how different it is, I had that group from U11 all the way through. So I had them for 8 years, 7, 8 years. So there was no kind of ever kind of mixing around and moving around. And it was a great group. I mean, obviously, there's the first kind of team that I took from that all the way through. So a lot of the times that's kind of my benchmark, for the teams that I have. And they were a great group of girls. They were super close. There was only, I want to say, like 2 or 3 that actually went to the same school.
Oh,
so
wow.
They were all over. Yeah, they were from Midland High. They were from Dow. They were from John Glenn, Western, Central. And then we introduced some girls from the Grand Blanc area, like Flushing, that area. So they were from all over.
All over, yeah, for sure.
So, and they did really well. I mean, we climbed up at that stage, what is now NLC. That was not really attainable for teams in our area. So it's basically P1 and then how we do in State Cup. And they did well. First year we played State Cup, we did do very well. But then by the time they were U16, they were making the quarterfinals, made the semi-finals as U17s and as U18s. So they were a good little team, and the majority of them went on to play in college. I want to say a good 2/3 of that team went on to play in college, and all different levels. Like I had 2 girls that went to UAD. I had a couple of girls. One girl that went to SVSU. I had a couple of girls that went Division 3. So a couple that went NAIA. So that was kind of my first interaction and kind of first team, and that I kind of took. And then from there, I kind of bounced a few other teams, mostly girls teams at Vardar North, just because there wasn't very many boys teams. And then, so that was kind of my first interaction with club, and then my first kind of job outside of college. So,
for sure. And so I kind of want to go. You were talking about how all these players that you started with, now some of them have kids and whatnot. Obviously, you are one of the only coaches in our club that has a kid. What has that changed for you as far as coaching goes? And what's it like towing that line between being a dad and being a coach?
Well, I mean, I've been on your sidelines before, so when my son played. So I'll be honest with you. Sometimes, it's that practice what we preach. We preach as coaches. As parents, you don't want to say anything. We don't want you to say anything. We don't want you to say anything. But I'll be honest with you, it's difficult. I mean, there's a couple of times I'm pretty sure Cam's give me the no more, or the text from across the field shut up, off. So, and actually at one game, he wasn't playing. I think he was playing with Justin down in Genesee. My kid actually stopped and was like, "Stop!" Sure, stop. So I think at that point, but Tracy was with me as well, so she was like, "Okay, you need to stop. You need to be quiet. You don't need to say anything." So, it's just, I mean, the again, it's about, obviously you have, you understand the process. I understand. It's going to take a little bit of time. I've been very pleased with, obviously, how it's been kind of going, because it's been the one thing that I have liked is my kid has always been welcomed in any of the situations that kind of he's been in. I mean, he's been, there was a season there was a spring season when I first started doing the high school boys teams down in Genesee, where he was coming down to training, he was down at all the games, he was there for pretty much everything. So, and that exposure in himself, is kind of going to, tag on along. It's going to kind of pick up little things, and in being around players and stuff like that, it's always going to help. So, and I've always tried to kind of be that way where he wants to do it. Do you know what I mean? I've never wanted to be, well, I've played soccer, so you're going to do the same thing. I've never kind of been like that with him, because I've also seen other coaches who've had kids where their kids have gotten to the point where they don't like soccer because soccer's the vehicle that takes time away from them and their dad. So I try not to kind of do that. I don't give him the you should have done this, you should have done that kind of talks. Plus he's 8, so that would take too long at this stage. So, I mean,
fair enough.
But in the games, I love going to the games. Like the games themselves, just the energy that those kids play. I mean, his team's a good little team. You know, they're really kind of coming together. It's good. It's really good to see because, like I said, this is his 3rd year now of playing.
Right.
So he's kind of obviously seen it from the start and how it's kind of built up from there. So it's good. It's good. It's really good to see. Obviously, the development and how the players are coming. You know, improving from season to season. And he's taken a lot more interest in it as well. Still can't get him to do anything while we're off right now, but I mean, I'm trying. I mean, he's getting there, so he's loving life right now. But yeah, it's a good thing for him right now. He's enjoying it. That's the main thing. He's getting good coaching. He's improving all the time with what he wants to do. You know, and until he gets to the point where he says he doesn't want to do it anymore, then I'll just keep facilitating what I can do for him. So,
absolutely. First thing I got to ask is, obviously, you've never coached him. Is that something that you want to do or something you want to stay away from?
So without going, me and Cam had this conversation about a month ago, and I eventually would like to.
Okay.
But my worry for my child is he's an only child, so he's very headstrong. I'm going to put it like he's very headstrong, and I think you need to be a little bit older to then be able to differentiate between dad and coach. Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
I'd love to do it because I think he would listen. I mean, I think he would do a good job. And I've seen some good situations and I've seen some horror stories.
Right.
You know what I mean? With kind of how it is. And I think it all has to do with how you as the adult handle the situation. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't always be coached. You know, at some point you have to be, you have to kind of be dad as well. So, I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of see how it is. And I mean, at the stage also really kind of where I'm at as far as coaching, that I could work with some of the younger kids, but it's just not my forte, if you will. Do you know what I mean? Sure. Like, I think more my talents with all the stuff that I've been doing is more kind of suited to the older age groups. Absolutely. Kind of once they hit like the older, maybe a little bit of 9v9, but more the 11v11 side of things. So I think he's still got a few more years to grow, but I'd definitely love to do it. I don't know how Tracy would feel about that, having both of us in the house having to do that. I mean, logistically it would work out great, but I'm sure she would probably end up hating either me or him or both.
For sure. So,
we'll see.
So the last question I have before we move on to the next thing we got planned, I just want to hear about your coaching philosophy. Just the way that you approach each team, or the way, however you look at it.
I don't really have a philosophy per se, because I think in order to have a philosophy, you have to kind of stay within one like parameter. Like these coaches say, like, I have a philosophy. Like, a big thing this came out when like Pep started coming out with all of his stuff, and it's like Guardiola can have a philosophy because he plays one style. And he basically, if he doesn't have the players, he buys the players to get himself style. So it always makes me laugh when youth coaches are like, I have this philosophy of that. And it's like, you kind of deal, sometimes it's a crap shot with what you get. So sure. I think one of the main things I always like to do is just the kids have got to work hard when they come in, and you can make it enjoyable. You can make kids work hard without them knowing that they're working hard. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
The ones that are just like, make them run. Yeah, ultimately you can do that. You can make them run a lot if you want, but you only get them for 3 hours a week. So you're going to waste a ton of time running, and you're just wasting time on building your team. So that's really a main thing. It's just obviously making sure that they're working hard and obviously outworking teams, because you have a team that works hard, that's half the battle. Technical side of things is massive. I mean, it was a new thing to kind of come over here and kind of teach technique, because like I said, I I mean, I literally taught myself how to play. Excuse me. I mean, I never really had an actual coach until I was a little bit older. So at that stage, you know, the technical base was kind of already built. So a lot of the stuff was kind of self-taught. So I think as far as my philosophy is concerned, I mean, I like obviously attacking soccer. You know, I grew up watching old school Manchester United, you know, counter-attacking. I like the passing style, you know, the tiki-taka that they call it. But the coaches that try and recreate it, it's like you can't. It's a very difficult style to recreate unless you've got the people. It's like horses for courses. If you've not got the players to play that style, it's difficult to implement it without having a player. So, and a lot of the times, us as youth coaches, we just don't get that luxury. You know, so you know, there's different ways. I don't think there's like a magic. It's like parenting. There's no magic blueprint to it. Right. I think it's about one of the things I've learned as I've obviously gotten older and started to coach. It's massively about the relationships that you build, like the connections that you make with people, and you know, and I've realised that as the players that I've coached that were younger and now, you know, getting older, and you know they're getting, like I said, the ones that are getting married, the ones that are having kids, and I'm still in touch with these kids. You know, and you know, there's a couple of kids right now in our academy. You know, there's a young kid in our academy right now that I coached her Anne, and I saw her coming out of the academy like towards the end of the week, and it was like, oh wow, you're like full circle. She's like, yeah, I know. She's like, I love it. I can't wait for it. So it's like, you know, those kids, as you know, that's where it comes into it. That's where it comes into it. Because again, I mean, she doesn't remember the times that I've gone off at her for making a mistake in a game, or you know, games that we've won or games that we've lost or that kind of thing. She just remembers the interaction that we've had. So
yeah,
you know,
sure, absolutely.
And that's ultimately what it comes down to. I mean, yes, we want to be competitive. You know, yes, the competitive nature comes over, and that, you know, that happens with all coaches. You know, there's a stage in any coach's career where they want to be, you know, I want to be the coach. I want to win state cups. I want to do this, and that happens, you know, with any coach. But I think also the coaches that realise that it is about the relationships that you build with people, and obviously the improvement comes from that. You know, the development comes from that. That's ultimately what you will take out from coaching. Like I said, I mean, I'm still in touch with people I coached nearly 20 plus years ago. You know, so it's an interesting situation that you find yourself in, for sure, when you're in coaching.
For sure, absolutely. So what we're going to do now is we're going to transition a little bit. Obviously, I've been asking you questions. Now we're quick fire, quick answers. We're going to do a little of this or that, and then a couple different things. All right, you ready?
Okay.
All right. Manchester or Michigan weather?
Oh. I say Michigan because it doesn't rain as much.
That's fair. All right. Messi or Ronaldo?
It's Ronaldo all day, mate.
Pele or Maradona?
I'm going to say Pele just because Maradona's a cheat.
All right. Chocolate or sugary candy?
Chocolate all day.
All right. Indian or Chinese food?
Indian all day.
All right. Oasis or Stone Roses?
Oh, I'm going to say Stone Roses.
I hope
Two reasons. Their music was out when I was kind of going through high school. And Oasis are City fans.
Exactly. All right. I was hoping. Calls or text messages?
Text messages. Those of you that know, text messages.
Cable TV or Netflix?
I'd probably say cable, just simply because you can't really get sports on, and that's the only thing I watch. I haven't watched TV in so long because there's been no sport.
That's fair. That's fair. Football or soccer? So which one do you prefer being it called?
I'm so ingrained to soccer. I didn't really call it. I called it football for like 3 weeks when I first came in.
Okay.
And now, even when I go home, like, it's soccer. Like, it's just something that I've always kind of, just part of the vocabulary now.
You adapted, right?
Yeah.
All right. Board or video games?
Oh, video games.
All right. An English breakfast or an American breakfast?
An English breakfast all day. It was the first thing. Stevie might tell you, but we'd been off the plane 30 minutes and we went straight to my cousin's got a restaurant and we went there and got a breakfast. So English breakfast all day.
All right. Hamburgers or tacos?
Oh, mate, that's a tough one. I do love a Mexican, though. Tacos.
All right, fair enough. Cam will be happy you answered that. Tifu or Ninja? This is for your kid.
I'm going to say Ninja.
All right, fair enough.
I don't know who either one of them are.
All right. This one's going to be a tough one for you. A Manchester United Champions League or an England World Cup?
I'm going to say a Champions League again. And here's the reason why. I'm not 4 or 5 years. I've been a great team to watch. But up until that point, we've been absolutely dreadful. So all England up until that point, all it's done is it just gets you all excited. And for the first, right, we win the first game. We usually tie the second game. We lose the third game. We limp into the next round, and then we go out. That's basically our tournament history from 84 through, 2016.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'm kind of bitter when it comes to England. I think we've got a new generation now, so that might change. But, yeah, I'm going to go Champions League, just simply because United are terrible right now, and there's no Champions League on the horizon for us.
Fair enough. All right, so we're going to transition a little bit. So it's going to be start, sit, or cut. I'm going to give you 3 players, and you have to start one, sit one, or cut one.
Okay.
All right? Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard.
You just go right there. Start. Yeah, start. I've got to cut Stevie G. I'm sorry.
I love it.
I've got to cut Stevie G. I think Stevie G was part of the reason why we weren't as successful as England anyway, because Sven was trying to play the Gerrard Lampard. He played Scholes out wide on the left. If he'd have took Gerrard out and played a 3 with Carrick in there, we'd have won for sure.
Fair enough. Giggs, Beckham, Ronaldo.
Ronaldo as in Cristiano?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jesus. Whoa. Okay, let's go. I'm going to bench.
It's tough.
It's massively tough. 3 absolute legends. Right
I know. You got to do it, though. You got to be quick. Come on.
I'm going to bench Giggs. I'm going to start Beckham. I'm going to sell Ronaldo.
Unbelievable. Wow, that's a left fielder. All right, fair enough. Mbappe, Sancho, Holland.
I'm starting Sancho just because I'm hoping we're starting Sancho in the fall.
Love that.
Haaland, I'm cutting Mbappe off the bench. Not a bad bench player.
Love it. All right, this is a little bit more old school Manchester United, so this is for you. Brian Robson, Aaron Cantona, Roy Keane.
Oh, no, I knew you were going to say those 3.
Captains, come on.
I'm starting Eric just because he's my favourite player at United ever.
All right.
It's so tough because Brian Robson was hands down my favourite player until Cantona joined United. And in my opinion, Roy Keane was the best United captain I think we've ever had.
Agreed.
Got a coin to flip. I'll go with the England side. I'll bench Robbo and I'll cut Keane. Because he's Irish.
All right, fair enough. All right, so I think we all know that this is going to consist of a lot of Manchester United players, but I want to hear your all-time 11.
Okay, so I'm playing a 4-3-3.
Fair enough.
I'm playing a 4-3-3. In goal, I have Van der Sar.
Love it.
My left back is Dennis Irwin. My 2 centre-backs, nobody's ever getting through. I have Nemanja Vidic and Jaap Stam. Okay. And then my right back was causing me all sorts of problems, and I was trying to think, because Gary Neville, I love the guy, he's a great pundit, but he's just not an all-time 11 player. So I went with Paul Parker, who was our right back when we won our first double back in '93. Unreal right back.
Love that.
Good, solid defensively, loves to get forward. And then my 3 midfielders is Brian Robson, Roy Keane, and Paul Scholes. Scholes would just be at the point there with Keane playing the 6, Robbo in the 8. Unreal midfield, dominate anything.
Yep.
And then my forward 3 is even though I cut him. Ronaldo on the right, Rooney on the left, and Cantona through the middle.
I love it. I love it.
The reason why I didn't go with Beckham or Giggs either side is because those two are just pure pace. And with Scholes feeding them and Cantona playing the hold-up, Champions League winners.
There you go. I love it. All right. So last little part we have here is some trivia. I tailored it to you. Manchester United questions and England questions, okay?
Oh, you could embarrass me, Agrew.
I could. All right. So the first question. Who was Sir Alex Ferguson's very first signing?
Is it Viv Anderson?
It is. Unbelievable. Also, England's first ever black player.
Yep.
All right.
I should have had Viv in my all-time 11.
Viv was a player. All right. So the next one, we start having some success. The Cup Winners' Cup scored 2 goals to win the game.
Mark Hughes' second goal was unreal. I remember the game in Rotterdam. I remember watching it. His second goal was unbelievable. Like, takes it so wide. The angle for him to finish is legit. Yeah, great goal.
Question. Do you know who scored the goal for Barcelona?
Was it Koeman?
It was Koeman. Yeah, absolutely. Unbelievable right now. All right. So this one might be tougher just because you got to guess a number. How many FA Cups have United won?
13.
Oh, you were so close. 12. So close. That was good though.
You know why? That's because we were winning it this year.
We were going to win it this. You're right. It probably is 13.
That was the trophy that I said that we were going to win.
That's true. All right, fair enough.
Fair enough. 13.
All right. So question number 4. We're going to England now. Who has the most yellow cards in England history? I'll give you a hint. He's a United player. It's a tough one.
It's either Rooney or Scholes. Is it Scholes?
It's not. It's Beckham.
Really?
It is, yeah. And also, Rooney and him are both tied with the most red cards at 2. So
okay. I was trying to go through of like who played a ton of games. I went with Scholes because Scholes he can't tackle to save his life. So I carded somebody. And Rooney was just a head case in his early England days. So
true. Absolutely.
But yeah, Bex.
Yeah, Bex. All right. Last question. Which player never scored in 69 starts for England? Outfield player.
Is he a forward?
Nope.
Gary Neville.
It is Gary Neville. He's actually second all-time players to have, most caps without a goal behind Ashley Cole. Ashley Cole's the only player to have played more and not score a goal.
Yeah.
So that's not bad, honestly.
There was one I didn't get, but in my mind, right.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, it was pretty good. You were quick with the Mark Hughes one. I was a little surprised.
I could remember the game. My 2 uncles went to it, and I remember them telling me it rained torrentially, just poured down the whole game. I remember watching it. I watched it at home with my dad.
That's awesome.
One of our first European, my era, first European competitions we won. The old Cup Winners' Cup.
Yep.
This doesn't even exist anymore.
No, it does not.
That was for the local, so that each league had their own cup competition. That was the winner. So you had to win the FA Cup to get into that.
Okay.
So that's how we got into it.
Nice. That's
yeah.
Look at you even have some trivia for us. There you go.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun. Do you have any last words you want to say to the families, players?
No, it's good. Just try and stay safe. I know it's pretty crazy right now for everybody, and obviously this is times that we've never really kind of gone through. So just tune in Tuesday, Thursday. We'll give you some content, keep you busy. Hopefully you found out some interesting information about me.
There you go.
Kyle's
Awesome.
Fantastic job.
I'm trying. All right, guys. This has been Tactical Foul. I'm Kyle Grew. This is Steve Walker. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks.